to the BAM Pod.
Take the plunge and jump into new favorites at Black Bear Diner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we've got you covered.
Good old-fashioned family food, Black Bear Diner.
All right, welcome in everybody to the BAM Pod. I'm your host, Big Ed, and on the line tonight, I have the man that went out there and took the BAM Trails Angler of the Year in the Super 60, Mr. Tyler Madden. All right, Tyler, welcome in, man. Thanks for coming on and doing the show. I really appreciate it. Angler of the Year is something that I think everybody thinks about, and it's one of those ones that winning a tournament is great. When you go out there and you conquer the whole year, that is a major event. So, Tyler, let's talk about how you did that because, man, everybody wants to know what it takes to win an Angler of the Year against especially some of the top guys on the West Coast, man.
Yeah, so going into the year, I just really wanted to make the championship. That was kind of my goal going in, just to prove that I belonged fishing at this level, especially on the West Coast, being back east for the last 2 years. I really hadn't got to fish a lot on the West Coast. I did before. I went off to college to fish for Auburn University, but it was just team tournament stuff on the Delta and a couple pro-ams here and there. So that was kind of where I started. Just going into it was trying to prove that I belong. And then at the first tournament, I was pretty lucky and figured out a pattern. It wasn't far from home, so I was able to go there like 2 or 3 months before and at least see what it looked like on Don Pedro. So that was awesome to start off with third place. And I was just ecstatic to like, okay, at least I have a chance. I have some great points to make the championship. I wasn't thinking about Angler of the Year at all really at that point. So, but it was crazy how it worked out. And then like at that last tournament, everything just fell my way for me to win that.
Well, you said I just wanted to make the championship. Well, congratulations. You did that. You took home a third at the championship. I don't think you left a doubt this year, no matter what. Even if it's only in your head to start with, because that's the most important head that it belongs in. You belong out here fishing, man. You belong doing this. I know we started off. I love the way you just put that, by the way. You've been, you want to prove yourself out here on the West after you've been fishing back east a little bit. And I give a lot of the guys that back east that left from out here on the West, went it back east, and I give them heck all the time, Rambanis and all those guys.
Mhm.
Oh, are you just not good enough to come back and fish in the West? Well, you know what? It takes a lot. Going back east fishing, coming back out here. You've been fishing at Auburn this entire time. You've proven everywhere that you're a heck of an angler, man. And we absolutely loved watching you do it this year. Like I said, I think Angler of the Year, I've said it on the stage, I said it out, I'll say it here, man. I think Angler of the Year is the one thing that most people would love to have on their wall because and unfortunately, you can't put that on your wall, not without some braces because that thing weighed like
Yeah.
57 pounds, man. Watching
Yeah.
everybody try to you lift that, your dad try to lift that, everybody try to lift that thing was impressive, but yeah, it's something you can take home and no one can ever take it away from you. That it is something very special. You run all year long and it starts, you start off at Pedro and it comes out and it's like, okay, now the next one, then the next one, then the next one. At what point did it really kick in that, you know what, I got a really good shot at this because all I need is for a couple people to stumble or a couple, things to happen. And I can take this. Where was that point in your mind that you went, I may switch gears here and hit that Angler of the Year?
Yeah. After I knew I think going into the Columbia River, I was fifth overall in points, and I was like 20, 22 points behind Ty out of the lead. So I knew at that point I had to top 10 the Columbia River because I knew Ty was going to top 10 the Columbia River being from there. I
Yeah.
was like, if I don't top 10 this tournament, I'm like that's over as far as trying to win Angler of the Year. And that first day I went out there and pulled up on my second spot and changed baits and started throwing a little tiny popper. And I caught probably, I don't know, I probably caught 20 on it in the next 2.5 hours. And I caught like the second biggest fish of the tournament. It was a four,
Wow.
I think it was 498 smallmouth on it. And that was pretty awesome. And then all these were smallmouth, and they were like dirt shallow on the spot I pulled up to. Um, and that's where it kind of set in where like I had almost 19 pounds that first day, and I was like, I just got to make the next day because it's a hard format because it's like well that it made it easy for me at that tournament because I think I only had 11 keepers the first day and I was behind by like 25.
Wow.
So I was like I have to strictly go out there for big ones. And at Mojave, I had 19 something pounds that first day and had 17 keepers. So I was like up there on keepers and kind of weight. And I really struggled that second day. I caught, well, it was the wind shortened day, but I only caught 5 fish for like 14 pounds
Mm.
and still barely squeaked a check at 18th, I'm pretty sure. But that kind of taught me a lot. Like, and then I went up for the pro-am at the Columbia River. And this, I'm just talking about all this because this is what went into my day two decisions at that Super 60 event. So at the Columbia River, I caught him pretty good in day one. And I was sitting in like 11th or 12th, the pro-am with like
Right.
almost 17 pounds. And the second day I went out there and I caught like 11 and a half pounds. So I was like, there's got to be something to this with smallmouth and like trying to fish the same water on day two. So I totally I stopped them the second. Okay, we're back to the second day on the Columbia River of Super 60. I was sitting in third. I went back to the same spot. I think I caught one fish that was like a pound and a half. And then I ran around. This was close to the ramp, so I ran around close to the ramp. I was like, this isn't working. So I turned and I ran towards Arlington about like 30 miles. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop here and see if I can catch one here. And just completely new water. Never seen the place. Never been down there. And then I picked up a completely new bait. I started throwing a big spook down grass lines and rock points and stuff in the grass. And I caught 15 pounds and was able to make that top 10. So that was a huge thing. And then that third day, I ended up catching almost 17 pounds again.
Wow.
And but that was up on the same spots I fished day one. So it was like weird how they didn't work the second day, but they worked one and three. So at that point, then I after that tie, I'd take another second, and I was 25 points down.
Mm.
So I knew at the Delta, it's anyone's chance because
Yeah.
I mean that's where I grew up my whole childhood, and Ty he'd fished there a few times, but like never been there this time of year. So I knew I had a fighting chance at least. Like it was gonna come down to the Delta. Um, and there I kind of changed my approach to what I would normally have done. Normally I probably would have ran pretty far north and thrown a frog and punched up there, trying to catch big ones in a,
Yeah.
in a normal event, like not like a Super 60.
Yeah.
So I kind of went for keepers on the first day and stayed close. And I caught, I think, 8 keepers, 8 or 9 keepers the
Mm.
first day. And Ty had not done great the first day, so I knew if I could stay close again and catch keepers again, I would probably have a pretty good shot at Angler of the Year. And that second day is the second after the first day in the Delta. That's kind of when I knew like I have a real shot. Like
Mm.
I knew I had a shot going into it, but then everything seemed to like be going my way
Right.
as far as like the tournament how it was playing out. And then second day I had a terrible first what 5 6 hours.
Mm.
I caught a 2.5 pounder like third cast, and then didn't get another bite until 1 o'clock.
Mm.
So I had one fish, and I was like, and I was going for keepers. I was like, oh, I'm not sure what I can do here. I started running all over the place. Like before one, I started running all over the place and ended up right back by the ramp where I was fishing the whole time. And I got the right incoming higher tide and pulled up on a spot I hadn't really fished, but it was near where I had been fishing, and it kind of just went down. I caught like 30 or 40 total, and like I think 8 more keepers in the next hour and a half. So it was pretty crazy how that how
Wow.
that went about. I caught a couple good ones too while I was doing that, but it didn't really matter how big they were to me as long as they were 14 inches.
Yeah. It's a
Like,
crazy, it's a crazy thing to think about when you're I, I think it I don't know, I guess it's just a good question to ask. When you're doing the whole angle of the year. I mean, you go out, you win this thing and you are looking at our format. It seems like is it does it make it harder or does it make it easier when you have, oh, I either got to catch keepers or I got to catch weight? Does it matter to you when you're thinking about that sort of thing? Because it's like, or is it just I don't really care. I just have to do the best I can, and what comes up is what comes up.
Um, I think it makes it harder the first day.
Okay,
I'd say the first day is definitely you got to learn because there's no practice. Also, you got to
right.
you got to learn on the fly. You got to basically practice your first day. But you still have to catch them because if you don't, then you're kind of screwed. So you got to practice. You got to find more water for the second day, and then the second day you got to do the same thing for the third day. But this year I kind of just went off how my first day went. And the first day at Pedro, I caught weight. I think I was in fifth with like 17 and a half. But I also had caught decent amount of keepers that day. I had like 23, I think.
Yeah.
So in that one, I kind of just went off based on what I was on. And then based off that first day, I'd make a decision for that next day to figure out what I kind of wanted to do. And it was kind of interesting how it went. The first one at Pedro, I finished on weight. Well, I got into the top 10 on weight
Mm.
because the second day I didn't catch very many keepers, but I wasn't trying to at that point. I had given up the keeper side of things and went for catch the largemouth. And then in Mojave, I caught a decent bag on the first day, but I was in 10th on keepers.
Yeah.
That's where I made my biggest mistake. I think I tripped up pretty bad at Mojave. I tried to go catch big ones again because I had never been in the position where I needed to go catch keepers.
Right.
And I think I could have made that top 10 if I would have had a better plan going into that second day of Mojave, especially being a short day. Looking back, like if I had missed Angler of the Year by a couple points,
Ooh.
that would have been one that I was pretty because I wasn't happy about my decisions that day, but ended up working out. And then so that one I only caught five keepers the second day, and I ended up in 18th on keepers. Um, and then Columbia River was strictly weight.
Yeah.
That's just how it played out that first day. I only caught 11, so I had to go for keepers the next or
Yeah.
for weight the next day also. And then the Delta, I had 11 pounds the first day, so I knew I was out of it on weight. But I had enough keepers to be within range to move up to get enough points. So I went for keepers on that one also.
Yeah.
So it was interesting how it went weight keepers as far as how my finishes ended up this year.
You're back and you're fishing for the University of Auburn. And we'll talk about that a little bit more too, because I know that you just told me, in 9 days you no longer will be fishing for the University of Auburn. But how does it change? I mean, you're back east, you're fishing a lot back there, you're fishing tournaments. How does that affect your mind when you're out there? One day you're fishing a tournament out here on the West Coast, and you got to think about this whole keeper count thing, weight count. Then you go back there and it's more traditional and you're just fishing for weight. Does it ever affect your mind at any point when you're fishing it and going, wait, I got to stop fishing for these little fish for fish for big fish back here or what?
Honestly, I probably think about it more when I'm back home fishing the Super 60. It's hard for me not to try to catch the five biggest fish that I can. Um, so like just because that's ingrained from fishing so many tournaments back here. Yeah, it's just I feel like it's more the other way necessarily with how I think about it.
It makes it tougher to think about here. It's like, oh, I come out here. Oh, wait, I got a keepers I can catch too.
Yeah, because I've never launched the boat and been like, okay, how am I gonna catch 14-inch fish?
Yeah, that's it. That's got to make it different. It's one of those. It's one of those things I just can't. I don't know. I've always said it's one of the harder formats, but I think a lot of guys really like it out here, compared to back east and here. Is it something you do like? I mean, is it that option having that ability to go? You know what? I think I can go ahead and catch 14-inch fish.
We're going to take a short commercial break and talk to you about one of our great sponsors, StoreQuest Self Storage. They're here to help you get your garage back. As an outdoor enthusiast, you have gear, lots of expensive gear, equipment, boats, trailers, and vehicles, probably all stored in your garage. You need a storage space that's easy to access, secure, and climate controlled. And that's where StoreQuest comes in. head over to storequest.com. Plus, members receive an exclusive 10% discount with the offer code BAM10. That's BAM 10. StoreQuest is the official self-storage partner of the BAM Tournament Trail. Now, back to the BAM Pod.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love the format. I also think the no practice is awesome, and the
Yeah.
38 off limits with no information is awesome too. Um, I feel like back here, a majority of your tournaments are a majority, not all of them, but a lot of them are won by your local guys. That especially on like the TVA or something that have
Yeah.
graphed every inch of the lake, and they know they know every little thing that someone from out of town doesn't necessarily know. So that's a huge thing back here. It's just the practice. A lot of the practice is unlimited, which college guys here, I mean us here at Auburn, we can't skip a week and a half of school to go practice the entire time like a private school can. So
Right.
we're kind of at a disadvantage to start with, but we've done a pretty good job and always at making that ground up.
Yeah, I think at the pro level, having that off limits, it should definitely be there. College level, I feel like college level would really it would make the difference. I mean, it would make a difference, I should say, not the
Yeah,
difference, but a difference in the fact that, like you said, you have some colleges that can't really go out there and afford to take a week off of school and go fishing. And then you have the other ones that are, it's like, oh yeah, we're good.
yeah,
you know, we're gonna go out and see it. It's and that's another thing. Talking about the college back there, it's big back there.
yeah.
Um, do you think we could get that out here, out in the West?
I think it's possible, but I think we'd have to see a larger number of high school kids to feed into the colleges.
Yeah, that's
Back here, high school fishing is massive. Every weekend
really
you have high school tournaments that are between 100 to 250 boats, sometimes even more.
holy moly. Who's taking them out? I mean, the high school kids, they can't operate a boat, right?
Yeah, no. So they get boat captains, so it could
Oh,
be
okay.
a lot of them are. I just captained a couple of junior high kids a week and a half ago out on Lake Eufaula. That was a lot of fun. So a lot of the college guys will fill in and help the high school kids and teach them and show them the ropes, and then they'll move into the college deal and run their own boat.
Then they get to come up top there and put some whooping on
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
And I want to, I really think that's an interesting thing. Um, we are really seeing out here, especially. I mean, Ron Mays came up and he won. He up there on the on the Columbia, um, fishing water that, like you say, he was fishing water that he knew. It was his backyard, Ty
yeah,
Manarola backyard. These guys were, fishing water that they've been fishing for a while. They know that fishery, and even with the no practice, they're kind of at an advantage, I guess, over everybody else just knowing the water that well. Um, but watching the youth come up this year, I mean, there are guys who are out there who have been doing this for a long time. I mean, there's obviously Greg Gutierrez, Ish Monroe, uh, you know, Ken Maw. These guys have been doing this for a long time, but the young guys like yourself, you take Angler of the Year. That's a tough thing to do against some of the best. I mean, that's got to be something that you look back, especially, and go, "Dang, look who I just took this from." I mean,
yeah.
that's saying something right there. How do you think? I mean, what do you think the main advantage for the youth coming up is? It? I mean, everybody's going to say, "Well, it's just because they know, forward-facing sonar." Well, I know, but everybody could learn that by now. You should have a good concept of it. If you have it, you should have a good concept of how to run it. What is it? What is that factor you think coming up right now? Is it just because of forward-facing? Is it because there's? I mean, like you just said, there's high school kids coming up now that are doing this thing. I just had a friend that I was talking to, and they were, their daughter just loves bass fishing, and I was telling them, I go, just to let you know, we gave away $100,000, sponsorship this year, or a college entry, or what, for some kid that came out and did it. I mean, that kid, that Tyler, he's gonna. That kid's going to be good. Nguyen's is a heck of an angler, but he's looking at that. He's going to Simpson. He's going to have this great scholarship, and he's going. It's just there. What is it that really is it, or is it all of it? I mean, I just I
Yeah,
see these guys who are, and don't get me wrong. I mean, Greg is still winning. Ken Moss still winning. It's just still winning, but it's I see a lot more young guys coming out now.
yeah. I mean, looking back, it's crazy to look at who I fished against this year, and like I've watched them on TV and when I like growing up and stuff. It's crazy. Like those are some of the legends of the sport, not even just the West Coast, you know. But I think the biggest thing for me and all young guys is just how much time we're able to spend on the water compared to your average fisherman that wants to, you know, fish at the next level. It takes days and days and days on the water, years probably. I
Right.
mean, we spend I don't know, during prime fishing season back here, we're fishing every other weekend, every weekend. It
Wow.
depends on what the schedule looks like, but I probably fished 30 tournaments this year.
That's a lot of
So
fishing.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's just having the time to be able to go fish on,
Yeah.
like I don't have class Wednesday or Friday, so I can just go fish. And that someone who works a 9 to 5 or whatever isn't going to have that opportunity just to go fish as much as younger guys do, especially college kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see the high, like you said, the high school kids coming up. I think that's it's such a unique opportunity, and I can say this that I never had that opportunity when I was growing up. I didn't even know bass fishing was an option in life when I was growing up. So it's like, oh man, I missed out. Wrong era. But it's one of the, but it was going back then. So it's like, wow, but it was all back east. There was nothing out here. I think the red band came out here a couple times, but when I was young, but I didn't know anything about it. So it's definitely interesting to watch you guys come up. I think it's absolutely great. It means that our sport's going to go in the right place and it's going to stay out, out west with this new Super 60, the way that Mark has blown this thing up a little bit, making these pro-ams that are going to be, intense. Um I'll,
Yeah,
I'll ask for everybody. I'll ask for everybody, but go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, like piggybacking off what you said about how Mark's grown the BAM trail and all that in just a couple of years. Even
Mm.
even guys on my team back here at Auburn notice like the social media side of things that Mark's been able to do. They're like, I see you on social media all the time, and you say you go fish a different organization, um, like back east. You will never be on social media for that organization. I think that's a huge thing as far as like how he's growing it, and that people are really taking notice on things like that. Just even just my friends in college.
Does that mean that they're all packing up and coming back here and fishing the West now?
I mean, all the guys talk to me. They want to. It's just so far.
It's funny that you say it's just so far. I asked Shaw Grigsby a couple years ago. I'd asked him. I had him on the show, and I was talking to him, and I asked him that same question. I said, "Why aren't you guys coming out here? Are you just too afraid to come out and fish in the West Coast?" And he just said, "No, it's just too far." He said, "I'd love to go back out there and fish in the West. I'd love to go fish Clear Lake, the Delta, Bullard's Bar, all these lakes that everybody hears about, knows about back there, but they don't. It's only gas. It's only. I mean, everything's getting cheaper now. Come on,
Yeah.
guys. You guys want to
No,
come
I
out here
think
and fish, man? It's like, come on out."
I think like
I
if
think
you would
Ty
see,
was it Ty IU that just said he's coming out.
yeah, Ty Howe's coming back to the West Coast. Yeah, that'll be cool for the circuit.
Right?
Any big media attention is awesome for all the anglers and everything. I've got I've got like a bunch of new partnerships and stuff for the next year just because of BAM's platform and a little bit of success that I had this year.
Well, yeah, you had more than just a little success, but it's one of those things. That's what I think a lot of guys should look at and understand is that what Mark's doing is giving you the opportunity to do what you just talked about. Get that extra, get those sponsors looking at it. And we need that out here. We need the sponsors to look to the West and go, "Oh wait, there's something going on out there. We should
Mhm.
check that out." I think bigger sponsors and, corporate sponsors should look into the BAM Trail and what they do out here. And I mean, we've got some great sponsors. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Bass Boat Technology, and Bridgeford Meats, especially. They've done a lot for us this year. and just I mean now with Vex's coming out with us and everything else, I mean there's some big names coming. There's some big stuff going on out here, and I think it should be something that people look at. You are now 9 days away from graduating. And I this is the question I'll ask for everybody out there. Does that mean that in 9 days we lose Tyler Madden on the West Coast?
No, I'll be it'll actually free me up more that I don't have class and stuff to be out for more events this coming year. So I'll be fishing all the pro-ams and then all the Super 60s and then anything else I can fish what time allows. We'll see.
You are also you said you're going to be moving. Where are you moving to?
Yeah, so me and my girlfriend and I are moving to Dallas, Texas in June. So I'll be a little bit closer to California, Arizona,
Nice.
Washington, anywhere we're going to be fishing. So I'm super excited about that. And just being in the Dallas area, that's an amazing place to live for fishing. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, that's some good fishing down there, of course. Are you going to expand on the East Coast as well? Are you going to fish more out that way too?
I'm focusing mostly on the West Coast right now.
Awesome.
I might dabble into a couple Bass Nation tournaments, just the smaller ones, and see if I can't make that Bass Nation championship.
Okay.
Eventually down the line, I might make a run at the Opens, but as of now, no, not anytime soon.
All we need is a Bassmasters Classic out here on the West Coast, right? And we'll wrap it all
Yeah,
up.
yeah, that'd be awesome. I
uh,
wanted the other thing I was kind of thinking about was like the mental part of fishing and how
yeah.
that went into this year.
Ab-
I posted a little bit about it on the from that last podcast I was on, but I think a lot of people overlook the mental part of it as far as like preparation
mhm.
and getting your mind ready to go fishing every day because most people just think, oh well, you're just going to catch a fish. Like, why does it matter?
No, that was it's so funny. That's like my third question on my list here is what does it take? I mean, when you and it's kind of how I led into it with when did you really start to think about it? But you think about making the championship, but angler of the year is one of those things that is so tough. How do you prepare and I guess it's a hard question to ask because it's not how do you prepare to win Angler of the Year, but how do you just go out and say I'm going to go after the best I can do, and the best I can do is hey, I'm going to make the championship, I'm going to make Angler of the Year. How is it that you just come into the season and say, you know what, this is what I have to do? Because I've learned. I've talked to a lot of the guys after they win a tournament. It's like, how do you prepare for this? How do you think about that? But how do you prepare to be so consistent all year long? That's, I guess, the best way to ask that question.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to keep the same mindset the entire year long, just staying calm, staying confident, and then honestly just believing in yourself that you can do it. Um, that was probably the biggest thing, and then also just be willing to adapt, especially with no practice. Being willing to adapt was huge for me because I mean I caught him doing some stuff that people probably wouldn't do. At two of the events at Pedro and at the Columbia River, I was doing something that no one else was really doing. I'm sure people will do it now, but I was throwing Pedro. I was throwing Cincos for fish that were just out in the middle with live scope, and then at the Columbia River, I was throwing a little tiny popper top water up shallow, no scope or anything like that. With that was kind of also interesting, but that's another thing. But yeah, that the mental part of it also like playing. I played college baseball for 2 years, and I played baseball
Okay.
throughout my whole childhood, and that's why I couldn't fish as much as I probably would have if I didn't play baseball. But I learned we would do like visualization trainings and
Mm.
just train your mind for baseball because it's very similar to fishing where it's like it's not really a super physical sport. It's more of a mental game, and every little tiny thing matters. So they're very similar in that way, just
Hmm.
that they're just your mental game matters a ton more than you would think it does.
Well, I mean, you're standing out in either rain, snow. There, heat. It's very rare that we have just like really perfect
Yeah,
70-degree days out there where you can, just go fish. It's like, no, there's most of the time there's something This year it was wind for our circuit. It was
Mhm.
that was bad. The rain, I don't feel like we had too many really bad rain days this year. Kind of the West Coast thing, but
Yeah.
it really all of that. When you're dealing with the cold, you're dealing with the heat, you're dealing with all of this. You're doing it for 8 hours. You're doing it with no practice going into it. You're trying to figure this whole thing out, man. That's got to be the part that really hits you mentally. And how do you look at that, and go 30, okay, I have no practice. You go into day one and it's like, what do you do day one? Like, what is your focus on at that point?
What the flock are you waiting for? California's newest luxury entertainment destination, Chicken Ranch Casino Resort, is ready to play. Experience laid-back luxury in our modern hotel, a casino floor with views of the Sierra, and diverse restaurants and bars that'll keep you squawking for more. Experience the all-new Chicken Ranch Casino Resort, located just 60 minutes from Yosemite National Park. Visit playchickenranch.com to book your trip today.
Yeah, so like going before a tournament will start, I'll do a ton of map study on Google Earth and Hummingbird Lake Master, just on my phone. I'll pick out a few spots that I think might have fish, and that would be different than each other. Like I'd pick out three different little areas to go check, kind of, and then I go check those, kind of run through, and then fill in a pattern after that. I mean, if I didn't get a bite on any of those, I'd kind of rule out all three of
Yeah.
those and go try something
Well,
different. But um, yeah, that was a lot of map study, like pre tournament wise, and then yeah, I don't know. I kind of just trying to think like I got like a bunch of things running through my head. I'm trying to think what the best thing is.
well, I hear, guys always talk about the map work they do, that sort of thing. What happens if you get to your first two or three spots and you go, and that was all useless. Now what?
Yeah,
What's your next step? Because I mean, I've been out there on the water where it's like, no, there should be fish here, here, and here. It's right for the time of year. It's what they should be doing, and nothing.
yeah, no,
Now you got to
that
scrap it all, and you've had no practice, or you don't know the lake that well. It's like now I've got to go figure this all out again and be consistent because you proved that you could do that. So you were doing something right out there.
yeah, no, like the first day I would bounce around and figure out where I would get a bite, where I'd get a bigger bite. And then at Pedro, it was kind of like little saddles in the back in like pockets. So
Right.
I would zoom out on my map and I'd say, oh, there's one here. I'd mark it. There's one here, and then I would go run. Let's say there's five of them. I'd go run all five, and then I caught. I think I found two more spots that were good out of like those style of areas, and then I would run that in a different area of the lake. And then I feel like that was a big thing this year, just being able to build on your pattern and not necessarily fishing just one spot or one area and kind of moving around with time. I moved around. So if you ask anybody, I move around everywhere. Like people, you'll see me running all across the lake. Like I'm not afraid to run around
Yeah.
the first day, even the second day, honestly, just to find new water and keep expanding on things that I have found or something dried up. I'll go try something new. I think,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, trying something new is also huge. Just being able to
Yeah.
adapt and do whatever you think is going to work. And then if it doesn't work, go try something else. But yeah, just being willing to adapt and fish new water, and then just having fun. Honestly, try to
Well,
just have fun.
you kind of talked about. I think it was Mojave. You said you were throwing a little popper there, and you were catching fish, and then you decided, nah, I got to switch this up, and you pick up a spook, and
Yeah, that was
it's
the Columbia River.
Columbia River,
Yeah,
and you're fishing this little bitty popper, and now you go back to a regular size spook. I'm guessing, or was it?
saltwater super spook.
Oh, a saltwater, so a big
Yeah,
bait.
yeah,
I mean, you went from a tiny little bait to, I'm thinking tiny, about 2.5, 3 inch
yeah.
spook
It was.
as
Yeah,
popper, and then you go to this great big saltwater 7-inch saltwater bait.
yeah.
What makes you decide that I'm going to go from super small to super big? I mean,
Um,
what is that?
during that tournament, it was kind of just I just based it off they stopped biting it, so I wanted to switch to something different. And I switched completely colors.
Okay,
I went from like a clear to like a flat color, like solid all around. So I kind of just my thought with that was if they're not going to eat this thing that they've been eating, I'm going to switch it completely up and see if they'll eat this big giant thing. Maybe they're going to eat that. And then I also threw a glide bait and got some falls on that the same day. For whatever reason, that second day they were chasing the bigger bait, I guess, or it just was
Right.
getting their attention and they weren't necessarily wanting to come look at that small bait.
Huh.
So yeah, I mean, like I think that goes back to being willing to adapt and having and being ready for anything.
Yeah, that's definitely something I feel like is a separator.
Hmm.
People, and when I say that, I mean like people would not go from throwing a 3-inch bait to a 7-inch bait. That just wouldn't be, like people would be like, that can probably throw something in there. But, I mean, we're also in an era where guys are, swim baits are a big thing and they have
Hmm.
been for a long time now. It's something, but when it came out, the thought of throwing a 12-inch bait was, who was going to do that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nowadays it's not. I mean, a 6 and 7 inch bait is like, oh no, that's just average. That's like what
Yeah.
people go. But like, a 6 inch worm, something like that, maybe. But nowadays, I feel like that divide from going from super small to super big, it still seems a little off to me, and I don't think that a lot of people would do it. But I guess that's what makes the difference between being a professional angler and being the average guy who only gets, one day a month to go fish or a couple days a month to go fish. That is a big difference right there.
Yeah, and I've learned a ton using forward-facing sonar, especially back east,
Yeah.
on how much drawing power a bigger bait like that will have.
Does
Uh,
it is it something that, we talk about you talk about the drawing power of a big bait like that. Are you when you throw that thing out there, are you thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get that big fish?" Are you just wanting to see where he's living?
I caught him on that actually. I caught a 3 pounder kind of right away when I started throwing it, and I locked it in my hand for the rest of the day and got the bites I needed. And
um
that's something about me. If I get a bite on something I want to throw, I'm gonna run with it. Like when I got bit on
yeah.
that top water, I didn't put it down the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, I know that one well. I feel like sometimes that's like the worst thing that can possibly happen to you in a tournament is you go out and you catch a fish on the thing you want to catch fish on. It's like, oh, I got a frogfish. Oh, I'm done. I can't win
Yeah.
this tournament on frogs, but I'm not putting this thing down ever.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that like you get that bite and it's like I'm not giving it up. I'm not
Hmm.
giving it up. I want this bite. Um, but when you are looking at that forward facing sonar, I think is something that really kind of befuddles a lot of people still. How have you taken it and really turned it into the tool that you're using it? And do you think all the, I guess, garbage that goes on about it is it really warranted?
Um, are you talking like how I learned how to use it?
Yeah, I mean, you go out and they always talk about the young guys learn it, but there's some older fellows out there that know understand that thing pretty darn good as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, how did you kind of come about just learning this thing? And I mean, I always hear the same baits are used, and some now they're making baits specifically for it. But how did you really focus on it and say, this is what I need? I need to learn this to change my game. I mean, if you were throwing Senkos out in the middle of nowhere for fish, you're using forward facing sonar.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So when I moved to Alabama and started going to Auburn, I knew nothing about live scope. I had a 10-inch graph with the LVS 32, the original live scope,
Right.
and I didn't know what I was looking at all. So I kind of went fishing with some buddies and kind of learned what I was looking at, and then just ran with it from there. I mean, we fished so much, and I knew that these guys were gonna whoop me on it if I didn't learn how to use it. So I I'd go to our local lake, which is Lake Martin, and just practice throwing out fish. And that's a spotted bass lake, so you gotta like lead them. They're moving so fast. You get pretty good pretty fast at casting and hitting them, getting them to see it and keeping it above them. That was the biggest thing. And then I'd just go practice mostly. And then I got back. There's so much, and the other thing is interesting. I think back here it gets you so good at live scope.
Mhm.
there's so many trash fish out here, which a trash fish would be called considered like a carp, a catfish, a crappie, anything that's not a bass that's just swimming around.
Yeah.
A lot of the lakes back here have tons of those kind of fish, and
Mm.
it's harder for someone that doesn't know what they're looking at to figure out what's a bass. So then on the West Coast, there's not as many of those kind of fish. I mean, there's still some,
Yeah.
but Pedro, for example, it's either a bass or it's a trout for the most part.
Right.
Um, I kind of learned that pretty quickly, and then Clear Lake was has a lot of trash fish, which is really interesting. So I understand why people who fish Clear Lake a lot get really good with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I had no experience really on Clear Lake at all, so this is all like new to me, like as far as learning that lake. But
That's
it
neat.
makes me understand a lot about how people get good and stuff from that lake because it's very similar to back here.
Yeah, it's a definitely interesting lake, and it's one of those ones that I don't know. I love lakes or fisheries at all. The Delta, the Clear Lake, any
Hmm.
cast can be something massive, 10 pounder, 12 pounder. It can be there.
Hmm.
Those lakes are absolutely awesome, and they make a difference. I know back east, any one of those casts could be a drum that's 14 pounds.
Yeah, yeah,
you know, I don't know
or
about
a
bass as
flathead
much, but
catfish, or
exactly. Uh, it's we talk a little bit about that about forward facing sonar and all that stuff. There's always that one thing out there though that people always want to know. What is your, is there a bait that all year long, is there something that you focused in on and said, you know what, this was my main bait for the year and I really made money on this thing?
um, honestly, probably not. No.
Okay.
I caught him. Pedro, I talked about it a little bit. I caught him on a. Oh wait, am I still there?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, it cut out for a second. I caught him there on a Cinco and Nico rig, and then at Mojave, I caught him majority of them all in a drop shot. And then Columbia River was all top water, and then the Delta was all drop shot and chatterbait. So I don't think I reused the same style of bait at any of the events.
All I heard, and all I heard in there that you did twice was drop shot.
Yeah, one was a power shot on the Delta, and the other one was a on 6 pound test at Mojave.
Yeah, how was that? That's a lake that has got to be tough to fish, and it's so clear. I mean, that is a different fishery right there. That was the one thing I noticed. I remember, Okerman goes out there and he's talking about that. And he's talking about how important his glasses were, and all I could think of. I think when I did the interview with him, I asked him, I go, "Did you really need glasses?" Because I was standing on the dock, looking down 40 feet.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure how much glasses really meant on that body of water. That thing is clear. I mean, you're talking back east. I've been to quite a few lakes back there. I don't know of any that I can see more than about 4 inches in.
No,
So
yeah, the water back here is not very clear. Yep, some herring lakes you'll be able to see like 4 feet maybe,
yeah.
but that's like max when it's really clear. And then I've been up north a little bit for smallmouth in Saginaw Bay and St. Clair,
Mm,
and you can see the bottom there in like 8 at certain points. But that's about as clear as it'll get.
wow.
But yeah, that was pretty trippy when I showed up at Mojave. I'd never seen the lake before, and just picked a random point off Google Earth that looked pretty cool, and I stopped, and second cast I caught one almost 5 pounds. So that kind of dialed me in for what I was going to do the rest of the day.
Yeah,
So I mean,
that's gotta be interesting. You just pull up and it's like, yep, first, two casts, boom, you catch a five. I mean, that's
yeah,
gotta be like, all right, this might have all worked out.
yeah, no, I and then I just ran with it the rest of the day. But yeah, that it was a big adjustment to be out there semi in the middle of the lake and be able to see the bottom.
Yeah, I look at some of our waterways. I mean, and it is the thing that a lot of my friends that have come from back east and they come out here and they fish and they don't understand the difference. Like I go, you're fishing Oroville, and they're like, oh, well, how deep do you fish? How deep do you want to fish? Because you can fish like 400 feet if you want.
Yeah.
Wait, what? And the lakes back there. Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, 20 feet, 25 feet. Even it's
Hmm.
just deep. That's just what they think. And out here, it's just like, no, no,
Yeah.
no. 25 feet is just, that's where we start swimming at.
Yeah. No,
So,
I mean, I personally love to fish clear water, like ultra clear water. As interesting as this is going to sound, I feel really comfortable in the Delta in the clear water. A lot of people don't really think it's clear water, but I mean, the Delta is fairly clear water in the backs of flats and stuff like that, and backs of sloughs with all the grass and stuff we have. So that's kind of what I'm used to. I just feel at home when I see some clear water compared to out here.
is it because you can see the fish and you understand how to target fish that you can see, or is it just that you like being able to see a long distance?
It's the moment when everything is on the line and precision, power, and control make all the difference. A moment over 20 years in the making, anchored on loyalty, trust, and support that goes beyond all expectations. A relentless pursuit of perfection. All born from a revolutionary idea to help you rule the water. Power Pole.
I'm never like sight fishing for them, but I like being like, especially when I'm fishing grass, I like to be able to see what I'm fishing.
Okay.
Whether that's bottom composition, whether it's weeds, depth, anything like that. I just feel that's why I felt at home at the Columbia River because I was fishing shallow grass that I could see, and I would position the bow based off where I would see little changes in the grass that someone might not notice, like just going down the main grass line or something.
Yeah, it's a different fishery out here for sure. We really only have two bodies of water that are consistently that we fish that are grass.
Hmm.
Clear Lake and the Delta. When
Yeah.
you talk about open water fishing, how you talk about Mojave, you talk about Folsom. Yeah, I mean, there's so many bodies of water out here. Oroville, Shasta, all this stuff. We got Shasta coming up here in I don't know, month or so.
Yeah.
It
I'll
seems
be
like,
there.
yeah. See, how is it that how do you address that? I mean, if you like to see the grasslands, you like to fish the things you can see. Now at Shasta, there is trees and there's things, targets to go after. But how do you fish an open body of water like that? I mean, is that really where your forward facing sonar comes in so much? Or, because guys that don't have it still are still out there old time fishing. How do you address an open water lake like what we have to fish all the time compared to something that's stuffed with grass?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously your forward-facing center is going to play a whole lot more in those kind of tournaments that are open, clear water, deep reservoirs. And I mean, how I would kind of break it down, I like to fish some kind of structure, or have some kind of structure nearby, whether that's a marina, a bridge, timber, rock piles, just something for them to get on. And then obviously those fish are going to roam nearby those things. So that's kind of where I'll start is I'll find that structure and then I'll fish it and see if they're on directly on it. But a lot of the times they're a little ways off it, but semi near it. They don't like to get too far, is what I've kind of figured out on those lakes, especially the largemouth. The largemouth will roam. They'll get out in the middle and swim around. But they'll sit on those things to rest and stuff all the time.
Okay. Um, Tyler, this is the time on the show. We are about 10 minutes till the end of it. I give every one of my guests a chance to thank their sponsors, to talk a little bit about who they are. You talk about social media right now, and it is very important for your sponsors. It's very important for you to move forward in this sport. And this is your time to everybody just listen to you. Everybody knows that you are the angler of the year out here on the West Coast on the BAM Trail, but they don't know everything about you. So this is your chance to kind of talk about it, tell them who you are, and let them know how they can get a hold of you. And, thank everybody that got you out there.
Yeah, so obviously my name is Tyler Madden, and I'm just about to graduate from Auburn University with a business degree in marketing. So super excited about that. I grew up on the West Coast in Brentwood, California, and Morgan Hill, California, and honestly just super blessed to be able to fish as much as I do at this point in my life. My dad makes it possible with helping me travel and stuff, and then my mom and my girlfriend Hannah are also amazing. My sister Mackenzie, all my family that helps me back all around the country. They're always commenting and stuff on my Instagram. And my Instagram is tmad_fishing, and then my Facebook is just Tyler Madden. And then those are the two main ways to contact me. And then I also want to thank just all my sponsors, and then my sponsors for next season, who are going to be Tidal California Delta Guide Service, my new rod company that I'm starting, Western Angler Rods. So that's super exciting. We're going to be working on a couple different models right now, and then those are going to be like drop based. It's going to be a drop based company, so like we'll drop one here and then wait a couple months, drop a different one, and then we'll cycle through them and see which ones people like. Um, that's that's my main thing I've kind of been working on after college, and then Mercury. I've always ran a Mercury and on their pro team, and then I can't thank Tanner from Boat Pros enough. I blew my lower unit at Clear Lake the first day, and he got me fixed up that night so I could fish the next day. That was huge. He's always helping me out if I have any boat trouble or anything. This year I'm gonna be partnering with P Line, awesome company, awesome line. Thomas has been awesome to deal with, and then also First Gen and Beckman, which is also their companies. And then new partnership for this next season is GRAT also. Awesome guys there. Just got some stuff in. Super excited. I caught all my fish at Clear Lake on GRAT on the rocker minnow, the new bait. Can't wait to try out the new glide bait. We'll see how that is. I'm sure it's awesome. I'm gonna be running all Bass Boat Technologies mounts next year. Mr. Foster with Bass Boat Technologies has been great. Working with Will with Buck and Bass has been awesome too. Super excited to run some Buck and Bass this year. Aurelio Perez, real estate realtor in the California Bay Area. He's a old family friend. My dad's one of my dad's best friends. He's always been there from the beginning with my fishing career and help supporting me. And then we have Ditch Pickle Productions, which was with me last year. That's Nick Klein and Alex Klein. That's their little media company. And then also the Bass Hole Tackle Shop. Rob Claudier at the Bass Hole's been awesome. I just talked to him recently. I live we live on Bethel Island, so I go there all the time. So I'm a frequent visitor when I'm in town. That's kind of everything about me. I played college baseball for 2 years. Well, and then baseball my entire life, traveling all over competitively, and just decided to chase the fishing dream back east, and then now getting to fish professionally out west. It's awesome because there wasn't really an opportunity when I left. There wasn't an opportunity to come back and fish out west on the places that I some of the places I grew up fishing.
Well, Tyler, we are so glad that you came back and you're fishing with us. It is absolutely a pleasure to, be up there on the stage with you and announcing it. You're one of those guys that you just quietly come along, do your job, whoop some butt, and took home the Angler of the Year this year. Man, you can take no one can take that away from you. You have proven that you belong out here on the West Coast. You belong in fishing in general, man. You have done that for sure. I can't wait to see what you do next year and the next year after that. Um, you've got your marketing degree. You just said you're going to have that soon. Congratulations on that graduation, man. Just another step in your life that is going to be going forward. Are you pretty much focused on being a professional angler now, or are you looking to, go do something else in marketing?
Well, I am starting that rod company, so that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a lot of my time. And then I'm sure I'll work part time. Hopefully in like the outdoor fishing kind of industry, whether that's hunting, fishing, whatever
Okay.
that may be, guiding maybe a little bit on the side.
Okay.
But we'll see as far as like career wise. I'm not sure that I want to keep fishing as much as I can, more of like something that for fun and that I enjoy, and not necessarily my job.
Okay.
at
Okay,
this point.
I can
Yeah,
respect that. And you don't want to. You want this thing to still stay fun and not just be completely career. So,
yeah,
it's there. So, yeah. Well, I hope you can. And, there's now some money out here in the West Coast. Mark is flashing some big money up there for guys to go out there and win on. So if you can do that and you can cash a couple big checks, next year, focus on some wins and get a couple wins out of this thing, man. You'll be sitting pretty good for sure. He's dropping some good dollars out there. But everybody, this was Tyler Madden. He is the Bass Angler Magazine. Bam Trail. That's right. He's our Angler of the Year. He came out here. Tune into him. Watch him. Next year ought to be fun to watch. We've got some good young anglers coming up, and this gentleman right here is definitely one of them. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you in a couple weeks.